Okay, in this installment, we're going to take a look at the pentatonic scale. If you already checked out String Distiller 1 and learned all your natural notes in the fretboard, this is really going to be as simple as extracting the B and the F from that information. That's going to leave you with A, C, D, E, and G. If you think of A as a root, that's going to make a minor pentatonic scale. Structure-wise, as far as intervals go, that's a root, a minor third, a perfect fourth, a perfect fifth, and a minor seventh. Basically, that means you got a starting note, you got a note that's 3 half steps above that, 5 half steps above that, 7 half steps above that, and 10 half steps above that. So 3 half steps being the minor third, 5 half steps being the perfect fourth, 7 half steps being the perfect fifth, and 10 half steps being the minor seventh, and then you're back to the octave again. Okay, so we looked at that on a single string. You'd have A, the root, C, your minor third, that's 3 half steps, D is going to be your perfect fourth, E is going to be your perfect fifth, G is going to be your minor seventh, and back to A is your root. Or root, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor seventh, 3 half steps to your minor third, 5 half steps to your perfect fourth, 7 half steps to your perfect fifth, 10 half steps to your minor seventh, and back to your octave. A lot of people are probably already familiar with the pentatonic scale. What I'm going to show you today is like a super easy way to learn this thing all over the entire fretboard. You really only have to learn 2 shapes, 2 intervals. That's all you have to learn. That shape, which is a perfect fourth, which you remember was 5 half steps, and this major third shape, which is going to be 4 half steps. Now the cool thing about this is that this entire fretboard for a minor pentatonic scale or any pentatonic scale, major pentatonic, which we'll get into later, can be learned with just those 2 shapes. You might remember in the first distiller module we were talking about octave patterns. What we're going to do is use 2 different octave patterns. We're going to use the bottom half of an E form octave and a D form octave tied together. Okay, we're going to use that octave pattern to repeat whatever interval shape it is we have in the bottom 2 strings. There's that octave pattern again. First interval is going to be that perfect fourth between A and D. Next one's going to be that major third between C and E. We've got a perfect fourth again between D and G. Another perfect fourth between A and E. And another perfect fourth between C and G. Okay, now let's take a look at that information from another angle, which is what these string distiller modules are all about. Instead of moving across the fretboard, let's take a look at 2 strings and move vertically up the fretboard. I had a perfect fourth, a major third, perfect fourth, perfect fourth, perfect fourth, and another perfect fourth. So again, I've done that all with 2 shapes, that fourth and the third. Now instead of thinking of 2 note chunks like that, let's build 4 note patterns. Okay, let's take a look at that information on the middle 2 strings. I've got a fourth, a third, a fourth, a fourth, and another fourth. So that's, if I was working with 4 note patterns. Okay, if I looked at the top 2 strings, it'd be a fourth, fourth, fourth. Here's a third, fourth, and fourth. 4 note patterns. Okay, you can also take a look at the in-between strings going from A to D. You got a fourth, 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 fourth. Here's your third, fourth. Now looking at the G and the B strings, you got to keep in mind that since the G and the B are tuned to a major third, where all your other 2 strings, adjacent strings, are tuned to a perfect fourth, you have to alter those 2 shapes. So whatever note's on the B is going to have to come up 1 fret. So that means that our third is not going to look like this, and our fourth is going to look like this. Here's our fourth, another fourth, and we got another fourth, and a third. That means the resulting 4 note patterns will look like this. Now if we went back and thought of that information working horizontally across the fretboard, you'd come up with your 5 box patterns, which everybody's probably familiar with already. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, those are all created with just that perfect 4 shape and the major third. Let's break down those box patterns looking at just those 2 intervals. 4th, 3rd, middle 2 strings, 4th, 4th, top 2 strings, 4th, and 4th. Next pattern, second pattern, we got a 3rd, 4th, 4th, here's your 3rd again, 4th, top 2 strings, and 4th again. Third pattern, bottom 2 strings, both 4ths, you got a 3rd, a 4th, and the middle 2 strings, top 2 strings, 4th, here's your 3rd again. Fourth pattern, 4th, 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 here's your 3rd, and a 4th, and the 5th pattern is nothing but 4ths. 4th, 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 and 4th. Super easy, man. You learn the whole fretboard using those 2 shapes. Perfect 4th, major 3rd. That's it. Of course, those patterns all lock together to cover the whole fretboard. If you want to move to another key, just go ahead and relocate wherever your root's at, and you'll have charts for this stuff too in a PDF. This installment's really meant to just give you a really easy way to visualize the fretboard. In future installments, we'll be looking at, like 3 and upper string pentatonics or 2-3 patterns, what have you, all sorts of different ways to approach the pentatonic scale. This one's just for visualization. Okay, now the cool thing about this is while we've been talking about a minor pentatonic scale, you've actually learned your major pentatonic scale at the same time. That second pattern, if you thought of that C as being the root, you now have this interval structure: major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 5th, and a major 6th, and your octave again. So if I want to think major pentatonic box patterns, my 2nd pattern becomes the 1st pattern, my 3rd pattern becomes the 2nd pattern, so on and so forth. So I just plan, if I wanted to do an A major pentatonic, I'll just go ahead and plant that 2nd pattern on A. And of course, the reason why the minor pentatonic scale is a minor scale is because you've got that minor triad in it, which we talked about, 1 flat 3 5, and the major pentatonic scale has got a major triad in it, where the other one's minor. You can check out the arpeggio module for more information on arpeggios and how that all relates to this. Okay, real quickly, for blues scale, minor blues scale, you plug in a flat 5. It's going to be E flat to A. You found that E flat over the entire fretboard using those octave patterns, which we talked about in the fretboard natural and some other modules earlier. Check those out, by the way, if you ain't got them, right, man? Just plug that E flat into each one of those box patterns and you're good to go. And of course, if you rethink that flat 5 in terms of your major pentatonic scale, it functions as a flat 3. So it's adding the minor 3rd with the major 3rd for the major pentatonic scale. You'll have some charts for that too. Anyway, that's it for the pentatonic module. Super easy method again, man. You learn the whole fretboard, 2 shapes, piece of cake. Learn it, live it. Later.